Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thousands of memories are created and captured in each photo taken on your magical vacation. We proudly present Capturing Magic, where we help those moments live on forever.
Hey everyone, welcome to Capturing Magic, where we are using technology to create and capture magic memories. This is episode 23, recorded Tuesday, March 12, 2013. You can find more tips, tools, and notes for the show at capturingmagic.me. I am Steph, and I'll be your host today for the show. And I have here with me my co-host, Brittney Leavitt, who can be found at britishdesigns.com, where she creates digital scrapbook supplies. Hi, Britt.
Hey. Hi, everybody.
We also have joining us today Heather Winfield, who is on the Capturing Magic team, and she can be found at her website that's called I Heart Characters, and the URL for that is heatherw.com/character, because Heather loves characters. Hi, Heather.
Hi. Yes, I love characters. I've been waiting to do this show.
We've been excited to do this show, and we've actually scheduled it several different times and then ended up switching topics. I think you had a hurricane one time. Various things that have caused delays. So yeah, we're excited to be finally having this show.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Disney. So
mine too. But Heather is crazy about characters, and she knows all of the tips. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today is character tips. And we each have some kind of favorite tips that we're going to share today about having character interactions and meetings and all of that kind of stuff. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about with each of us is kind of what we do for autographs. If we have one specific thing, if we change it out every time, kind of what we've done and what's worked. So let's start with Heather.
Well, when I first started, I would kind of make like my own book just out of like cardstock, like with a bind it all when we used to have local scrapbook stores in my area. And then I, would take it out and I put it on my page. But then once I moved to digital, I thought that was silly. So I just used the books that you could buy at the parks, the blue one with the white paper. Right. And I always use a Sharpie. I use a clickable Sharpie. Because when you scan it in, it scans in better when it's the thicker pen than just like a regular pen. And the Sharpies are easier for the characters, especially with, the bigger hands and everything for them to use. And this way you don't have to worry about the top coming off with the clickable thing. And I've had actually several fun interactions with characters with the clickable part of it. Like I met the hag from the witch from the Snow White, and she wouldn't give it back. She kept clicking it, and it was so. And I think Stitch did the same thing once. So it's another fun little thing that you could have with characters. But that's how I do it, and then I just scan it in and easily extract it and put it on my page.
Nice. Okay, Britt, what do you do?
Okay, big embarrassing confession. I have not done autographs yet.
What?
No.
Because I always felt like I didn't really want to do it myself without kids, and Scarlett hasn't really been old enough. But on our next trip, it'll be our first time where I'm going to have her own little autograph book. So I'm sorry, it's embarrassing to say, but I've never really done autographs so much. I mean, I've watched my nieces and nephews do them, but I've never done them myself or been in charge of their books.
Right.
So nope, nothing here to say on autographs.
You have no input.
Nope.
Okay, so that you said kids, and it reminded me that I forgot as we did introductions, we were going to start this new thing, and I totally forgot. We talked about it right before I hit record, and then I totally forgot. So from now on, when we do the show, one of the things that we're going to have our guests share with us is who they usually go to the parks with. Because when I did the survey, there were some people that said they wished we would do some shows without kids stuff or have people on that didn't have kids. And it kind of made me giggle because almost every guest we've had on doesn't have kids. But I just think people don't know that because we all turn into kids at heart when we go into the parks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, Heather, who do you usually go to the parks with?
So I usually go with my mom. I've had a couple trips with friends. You've had the one trip with Tanya and my other friend Kendall, and that was like the all girls trip, you know. And then I have friends now that live there, so I go with them. And of course sometimes I've been by myself, you know, some days or some parts of the day. So, but yeah, I've actually never been in a park with kids at all. So
there you go. So okay, back to our discussion topic.
And I have to say that I go with kids now, but I've been way more times without kids than I have been with kids because Josh and I went a ton before we had Scarlett, with just the two of us. So
because you guys have been together a long time before you had kids.
We were married for 5 years before we had kids, and we went to Disneyland several times during that 5 years.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I would
several
say
times a year might be more
probably more accurate. But so like when I say like who do you normally go with, I normally go with kids now, but I used to go with just adults. So and my family is all adults and we all go together, and so we do adult trips a lot.
Yeah. Well, and
not so much anymore, but
yeah, I was going to say because the dynamic of your family is changing where everybody's having kids and stuff now. So.
Which is super fun as well. But yeah. Anyway, back to autographs.
Yeah. And I've done a little bit of both. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, autographs. For autograph books, I have most of the time I usually end up making something. This last time when I took my daughter in December, it was just my husband and one of my kids, and I used the printable autograph book from capturingmagic.me, and then I really liked when I used the printable autograph book from Capturing Magic and put it on the iPad. That was actually really great. I liked that, but the characters had a little bit of a hard time doing it on my phone because the phone was so small. Mm-hmm. And so there are some things that I want to do differently, and I really, really, really want to get an iPad mini because I think that would be the perfect size. And I think using it as, to get character autographs justifies the expense myself. Totally justifies the expense of the iPad mini.
I got an iPad. I have an iPad mini.
Oh, I'm jealous. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Don't you think it'd be perfect for perfect size?
Yes.
Because it's not heavy. And so like the iPad is heavy.
Plus, then you can take it out and take pictures, right, Heather?
you could see that I'm sitting here not wanting to say anything about that, right?
Yep.
That is like, if people don't know me, that is like one of my absolute biggest pet peeves is people taking pictures with their iPad. It is a thing, and it started at Disney, but it follows me everywhere now, and it's just like, don't do it. Just don't.
Just use your regular camera. You'll be much
But
happier
I know
with the
you
photos.
you wouldn't do that.
I would not do that. I would only use it because I would be much happier with my iPhone or the camera, the camera on my iPhone or my DSLR photos. I know that I would not be happy with the iPad mini photos, but
I was just joking about taking pictures, but having your autographs on the iPad mini would be really fun.
Yes. And it's not too heavy. It wouldn't be too heavy in the park. So that's really my goal. My ultimate goal is what I want to do. But
just because it's fun to take them on your iPad mini, or what would you do with them? Like,
because then they're digital, and then because then it's digital, and I'm a digital scrapbooker. Yeah. And so then I don't have to scan it. I hate scanning worse than I hate cleaning toilets or ironing. Yes. It's a real thing. And so not to have to scan, it's worth the cost of the iPad mini.
Yeah, I hate doing that too, the scanning, because I have so many, like first I was always right away, I would go and I would scan them in, and now I wait until I'm going to do that layout, and then I have to like pull it out and have to it's like the whole thing. So I understand that. I hate it too, but I do like having the physical books and whatever. But this past trip I actually only got like one autograph from all my character meets, so I don't do it all the time. It's just
I don't do it all the time either. Yeah.
That's actually was going to be one of my tips, since Britt mentioned how she didn't get autographs, is that when you get autographs, you're getting more interaction and you could get more pictures out of it. So even if you're like, I don't know if I want to get autographs, that's another way that you can kind of have more of an interaction, and you could talk more if it's a base character.
Yeah. And that's definitely a good tip, because I mean, you do notice, like, when you're not doing autographs, like, you go up to take your picture with them and you're just like, okay, bye. Like, you just take your picture and then it's like, what else do you do, you know?
Right.
Getting an autograph, like, leads to interaction, like, just in a natural way, so that you're not having to be like, I don't know, making up something just in order to have a better experience.
And have a more quality, I guess, more timely, more timing, more time consuming.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, to be able to spend more time with them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it's like, I don't need, like, 20 some autographs from Minnie, but, if I'm there and it's like Star Wars weekend, she's in her Princess Leia thing, and I want more time and more pictures, like, I'm taking out the autograph book and getting an autograph so I can just have more time. So
Smart.
Yeah.
That's my first tip.
Yeah. One other thing that I've done is I got a character encyclopedia, and I'll get a link to it and put it in the show notes, the exact one that I use. Okay. But I've taken that with me into the parks and find the characters page on the encyclopedia and have them sign. Mm-hmm. And I do get great interactions when I'm using that, and they're always very careful. And it was funny because the Mad Hatter, I had my little book and I had Alice sign it, and then he said, "What about me?" And I said, "You're not in here." And he's like, "Oh, yes, I am." And I said, "What? You are? I swear I looked through the whole thing and I couldn't find you." He's like, "I'm in there. I have my page in there." So I had to go look through the whole thing again, and I finally found him, and he signed my book for me. So, yeah.
He knew already.
He knew.
Yeah. I remember seeing I can't remember where I mentioned it before in a previous show, someone that recommended one of those encyclopedias. It was like a Disney Junior character encyclopedia, and it had a similar thing where it was just tons of little characters that you could have side by. And I thought that'd be a really fun thing for Scarlett, because she'd want to look at that book like while we're in line, or it's a fun thing to hand your kid and let them look through, and then also fun to have them sign, because then they can have it at home to look through as well. But it's not if you wanted to scan your signatures, then having them sign in a book would probably be rough. Oh, you know what? I just remembered something.
What?
I have done autographs.
You're so proud of yourself.
Okay, on this last trip, we took little board books that had characters in them, and that we got, like, I think at the dollar store, and we had a princess one, and then I had another one too, but I think we didn't end up using that. But when we went to the princesses, we had Scarlett hand them her board book, and they found their page of their princess, and then they signed in it. And I have all these really cute pictures of Scarlett. I can't believe I forgot this. We have all these cute pictures of Scarlett sitting with the princesses, because they all wanted to, like, read her book with her.
Oh,
because
that's cute.
she had this cute book that had all these cute princess pictures in it. And so they were all like, "Here, sit down." And, like, especially Tiana, she has all these cute, I'll put some of those in the show notes. She has all these pictures of Tiana with Tiana reading her book to her. It's so cute.
Oh, that's adorable.
And now she has that book. Like, I just let her look at it. She just looks through, and those are, and Rapunzel signed on hers, and we have Belle's signature on her book, on her page. And there's always those Disney princess books at, like, the Target dollar spot, the dollar store and stuff. And they're just, simple little board books, but they're really cute pictures. And it's fun to have them sign on their picture. Yeah. I totally forgot about that. I have autographs.
That's a great idea, I think.
Another thing you could do is, like, if you've been to Disney before and met the characters, like, you could print out the pictures and then have the characters sign those pictures.
Fun idea.
I've never done that, but yeah.
Yeah.
That is a great idea.
There's another thing I've seen people do if you don't want to, like, scan it in, but you just want, like, a keepsake, is you can get, like, a t-shirt or a pillowcase or something and have, like, a clipboard, something that's, they can lean on, and then you can get signatures on that, and then, frame it or something like that, and then you have a keepsake for, your kids or yourself.
Yes. I've heard of people doing that as well. Yeah.
I've seen kids going up to characters, like, having them sign their t-shirts that they're wearing.
I don't think they're allowed to do that.
I've seen it happen.
I thought if it's, like, on you're not allowed to.
Maybe there's a new rule, but I remember seeing it.
It could be a new rule. It could also be Disneyland versus Disney World.
That's true.
It makes sense. It's sort of like, where do you draw the line where you're like, here, sign this. Like, but I have seen it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump into our tips then. I was going to mention the one thing that I do love about doing the signatures digitally is that your autograph stuff is always with you. When I went to Disney World with my parents, it was totally a business trip. The whole time we were down there, we were working in Disney World, gathering photos and information for that iPhone app. And so I didn't even think about taking anything for autographs. And then when I came across some characters, I really wished I had a way for them to sign something. But,
I see.
Yeah. So that's the nice thing with having it on your iPhone or even if it's just a backup, it's kind of nice because it's always with you. So, okay, let's share some tips. Heather, do you have some more tips for us?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of some of the best tips, but if you want some good interaction, you might want to bring up something like from their movie or, ask them something about a song or something because these character friends are really good. They know, every little thing about the movie, and I don't think you can stump them. So if you're at a loss really what to say, bring something up like that. Like one time I was meeting with, I think it was Aladdin and Jasmine, and I said, oh, that's, one of my favorite movies. And he starts asking me about the, what I liked. And I said, A Whole New World. And so he said, oh, I love that. Cause then I got to kiss Jasmine. And then they went and did this whole thing. It was like this whole little thing. And it was really cute. But because so many times I love meeting characters, but sometimes when I go up, all of a sudden I freeze and can't think of anything.
Right.
So I'm not always, it's like I do as I say, not as I do, but
I know that surprises me because I always want to be a fly on the wall and watch you meet characters because I know you always get all these great pictures. I'm like, how does she do that?
Yeah, but
I want to
sometimes
know.
it's work, but it obviously depends on the character. Like this past trip we had like this great Snow White. I mean, she was like fantastic. We were talking to her about castles and all this other stuff. And then on the other side of it, we had this Aurora that was probably the worst character like I've ever seen. She was, I don't know if she was either a villain in a past life or just someone they picked up the street because she seemed like she wanted to be anywhere else but there. We were trying to pull something out and it was just not working. So it's it depends on who you get. Most of the time you'll get good interaction. Other times, maybe Aurora wanted to sleep more. I don't know, but
oh gosh.
Really funny. One of my tips is to communicate with the characters and with their handlers. If you want to get a photo with just you and a photo, with just somebody else that you're with, and then as a group, communicate that because they're more than happy to try and accommodate that. But sometimes if you don't communicate that that's what you want, they're going to hurry you out of there and then you don't get all of your photos that you wanted to have. And also when you're with kids and if you have kids that are nervous with characters, communicate that to the handlers and the characters as well because they've been trained dealing with this. This is their job. They know how to handle kids that are afraid of characters and they've been trained for it. So
yeah, I love that article or post that you wrote on the Capturing Magic blog about overcoming character fear for your kids.
Yeah.
That was a good article and lots of good tips in that article. I'll link up to that in the show notes too, because that's a really good one.
I wish I had that when I was a kid because when I was 5, I was apparently scared of characters, so I don't have any pictures of myself with characters. And of course, that drove me crazy when I'm now it's crazy character one. So yeah, get your kids to want to meet the character so they don't get mad at you in 20 years.
You've never gotten over it and held it against your mom for.
I don't have a picture of 5-year-old me with Mickey. I mean. How you can't go back in time.
You can't, yeah. So you've met, I'm just looking at your site, you've met over 172 unique characters, and you don't count different outfits as a different character. Once it's Minnie, whatever dress or outfit she's in, that's just one character.
Right, and it's 173 now because I haven't updated since my last trip. Because I met I did the Princess 5K, and so they had the expo. They had the Cinderella's coachman there. So so I met them. So that was my new character this trip. But yeah, I keep track of every outfit that I meet the characters in, and like that. But it counts as just one character. So And I also don't count like the citizens of Hollywood or those types of things. I don't count them in my number, but I keep track.
It's amazing, all of the, like, Anakin Skywalker. Who knew they even had Anakin I didn't know they had him there.
Well, that's it. Star Wars
weekend. Yeah.
That was really fun. That I forget how many characters. I think I met 27 characters for that one. I think it was. Wow. And I mean, that's a ton of fun. It's a lot of standing in line, and especially that time of year, it's hot, but it was worth it. So
makes me want to keep track of my characters that Scarlett meets like this, like keep a list of it, or even that I meet, It's so fun to know how many you've seen and, all their different outfits. Like, gosh.
Yeah, 'cause I think it was about 3 trips or so in that I decided one day I was bored and I said, well, let me figure this out. So that's when I started my list. And of course now after every trip, it's like harder to update it because I'm trying to keep it on like 2 pages to print it. And so it's just more and more to add, but it's definitely fun to go back and look. And like Minnie, I met her like 41 times.
Wow.
So fun.
There's some really fun things on your site. Fun. So that's one of my questions that I had for you, actually. How can people find out, like, if they have specific characters that they want to meet and the rare characters that, that some of us will never probably see?
Well, yeah. Well, a lot of these things are like at special events. Like the best things are probably like the hard ticket parties. Like the Halloween party is probably my favorite Disney thing. And they have, the characters like the dwarves out. And the only time you would meet them would be at the Halloween party or at the Christmas party. And, they have like the prince and princesses are together, and they'll have the villains out, like Maleficent.
That's where I met Tarzan and Jane for the first time.
Yeah.
They were out there.
Yeah, so there's, like, I would probably forget all the characters but that's where they have a lot of the rare characters. And the Christmas party, a little bit less, but they still have them. And like we were just talking about Star Wars weekend, they have all from all the movies. But then when you're just talking about, like at the park that you like would randomly want to meet, you can't really like ask, say, where are they? They really can't tell you. They could tell you the regular characters that are out. If you ask really any of the cast members, there's a number that they can call and they can find out where they are. You have on the map, they'll tell you some. They have their new app. I've heard it does a pretty good job of telling you when the characters are out. There's a site that I use, it's kennythepirate.com, which is a fantastic site that gives you the schedules for every character. That was going to be my pick, so now I don't have one. But
no, do it again because I didn't catch that URL. So at the end, you can pick it. And
yeah, I didn't either. I'm like, what is it called?
I know. I was like, wait, what? So wait, you can share it at the end.
I'll give it again at the end. But it's this person who I also know on Twitter, and so you can talk and find out other stuff too. But he has all the schedules for each park, and that is probably the best way to find out when the regular characters are out, because a lot of that isn't printed in the Times Guide. But then if you're looking, like you said, for the rare characters, or there's ones that come out more randomly, and it's usually when they have like college program is training for their character friends. So that's usually when you find them. And the best place is at Epcot. There's a couple of different places that they come out, like the World Show Place, which it's like between United Kingdom and Canada.
Yeah.
And so, you don't know when it's going to be. So this is the problem. It's not like you can say, oh, I know this is going to happen. But one time it happened to me. All these times I've been to Disney and I've only caught it once. But there's the doors there and they'll be open and then there'll just be like characters out there. And it can be rare characters. Like I met Rabbit, which is probably one of the most rare characters that I have had. And there was like some of the country bears. There was Miko. I forget who else, but Rabbit was the one I was all excited about.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I know just recently, like they had Tink out. They had when I was there in January, the day I was leaving, I knew that they were going to have it because sometimes you'll see a character attendant like in that area in their blue shirt, and I knew that they were going to open it, and that was when I was leaving to go back to the airport, and it drove me crazy because then, of course, I found out that it was like Gideon, and I forget who else, but that one, he's been out a lot in that area recently, but you sometimes you'll get like a Mickey or Minnie too, so you don't know who it's going to be. It's not necessarily rare, but usually someone rare will be in that area. And then also in Epcot, like over by America, sometimes they'll have them come out. Sometimes in the International Gateway, that's a big place where if there's like a new princess, they kind of test it in that area. I don't know why, but they have a lot of face characters there. I've seen like the Tremaines and Cinderella, like they're sometimes in that area. And I've noticed lately over by the Imagination Pavilion, they've been having some princesses meeting there. And the other spot is by the fountain. I've met the penguin from Mary Poppins and Baloo and Marie before she was more common was out there. So those are the best places to really see the random characters. But again, you don't really know when they're coming out. But of all the parts, I think that one. But then the other thing is that the Hollywood Studios, there's a thing called Characterpalooza. And if you've ever been able to do that.
Tell us about it.
What is it? I don't know anything about that.
It's probably one of my favorite like character things, and it's not really that known, and it's because of Fantasmic. So the characters that are like would usually be in there, like they'll come out and they meet, and it depends on when Fantasmic is. So like I was here in January and February, and it wasn't taking place because Fantasmic was too early, so it just started again this week. And it's usually in the animation building, and they'll have like 5 or 6 characters come out, and there's several sets depending on what time the Fantasmic is. I can give you that because it's a whole bunch of stuff, and you could like put it in the show notes.
Wow.
But in it, usually there weren't that many people, and it's just like you had to know that it was going to start. The first set would be like at 4:50, and then all of a sudden all the characters come out, and you can meet. I met there like Mary Poppins usually with 1 or 2 penguins, and Pocahontas and Miko and Pinocchio and Geppetto, and sometimes it'll be like Minnie or Stitch, but then sometimes you'll get really rare like some villains. Like I met the Queen from Snow White, and the good thing about this is they sign, so like at the Villains Mix and Mingle. For the Halloween party, the villains don't sign, but here they do, so you can get autographs that way. But the thing is that towards the end of when they were having it last year, they started testing it out at the Streets of America, and then they went back to the animation building. But since they've started it again this year, they've been doing it again on the Streets of America, so I don't know which thing they're picking now. So right now, maybe until it gets hot or if it rains or something, maybe hang out around the Streets of America and see. It seems more chaotic out there, so I don't really like that because if that's what I'm saying, it was like kind of hidden when you're in the animation building, and you don't have to worry about like lines. Like you could catch like a whole bunch of characters at once, but outside I saw a couple of pictures and it's more people, but so I can't tell you exactly where it would be during your trip, so try either one of those places. But it's really fun because you never know who's going to come out. And the thing though with it being in the Streets of America, I heard they had a lot more characters. They had like 12, I think, on this past one day. So yeah,
cool.
Is it possible to meet all of those or even half of them?
It depends because it depends on what time Fantasmic is. So the later it is, the more sets there are. So as long as Fantasmic is if it's before 6:30, then there's no Characterpalooza going on. But if it's afterwards, then they have it, and it could be anywhere from 1 to 4 sets, and then they would be repeating the same 2 sets twice. So you can catch them when it's later.
Okay.
But it's, I've caught like almost all of them in one sitting when it was in the animation building. We've done that a couple times. So
cool. I didn't even know that existed.
Me either.
Yeah,
That's
when
cool.
I first found out about it, I was mad that I had missed it like all these other trips because I had never heard about it. And then when you go in like December, they don't have it going on until it's like I think December until March because Fantasmic is earlier. It's with the everything. So then I was missing them on those trips. So then once I was able to catch it, I tried getting it at least every trip. And I also think during Star Wars weekend they didn't have it because I remember that trip we tried and nobody ever came out. So it's possible they don't have it during that. But yeah, definitely if you're at Hollywood Studios, check it out and try to catch it because it's pretty fun.
So I had one question about the sets. When you say they're different sets, that's just when the characters are rotating out, right?
Yeah. So there would be like, let's say 5 different characters, and it was like a 20-minute set. I think I have to double check the time. I have it on my phone, of course. But then they would go out, and then the next set would come in and be 5 different characters.
Okay.
And then if they end up having more sets, then the first one comes back out. And usually, you can ask cast members and they'll tell you things, but for some reason with this, they keep it like a secret because I remember asking the first time I went, oh, are they coming out? Because you can see the character cast members, they have, these light blue shirts, and so you know what they look like. And they wouldn't tell me anything. Like, are they coming out? Oh, I don't know. Well, who's going to be standing here? I don't know. So
Interesting.
they
Like
kind of
secret.
Yeah. So now you know, and now you can go.
Yeah, that's so cool. I was going to say at Disneyland, when we're looking for a specific character, if we go to the information, like there's an information booth. I actually don't know where it is now on Buena Vista Street. I used to know back when it was just the old Main Street or whatever it was called then.
Across from Carthay.
Oh, it is? Okay. So same sort of place. Yeah. You can go there, or at Disneyland, if you go to the information person who's at near the wait times board, like down by the hub.
By Jolly Holiday.
Just right across from there. If you go to that booth and ask the cast member there when you can meet this character, they'll be able to, every time we've tried this, they can't always tell you exactly, but they will look in their computer, and I don't know what they're doing. They just like look at the computer, look at the schedule, and then, sorry, my phone's buzzing. Then they'll tell you, okay, they might be here at this time. You could try that. And so, sometimes they say, oh, I don't know, we don't see that character on the schedule, or, that doesn't mean they won't be out, but we don't have it. But then a lot of times we've been able to know, like we really wanted to meet Jessie on Scarlett's first trip because it's Josh's favorite character, and she was going to have a Jessie birthday party coming up really soon. So we were like, we got to meet Jessie so we can get pictures, And so we went and asked, and they were able to tell us, okay, she's going to be on Big Thunder Trail between 2 and 2:30. So go over there. And sure enough, there she was. So I know a lot of times that they can be very helpful if you're looking for a specific character. Like I said, not always, but sometimes.
That's a great tip.
Especially if you have a kid who has to meet that character, else they're going to die. Then you can at least get that done during the trip and not have to worry about finding them by, chance or whatever.
Right.
So.
Yeah. If you go to any of the parks at Disney World too, and they'll do the same thing, I guess, at guest services, or sometimes even, other places where they have like a cash register. I've seen cast members actually call and do other things for guests. So I'm sure they could possibly do that there too. But again, it's like the characters that they know are out. It's not like rarer characters. So.
Right. There's like kind of normal ones, but like Jessie and stuff, they're not really in the Times Guide so much. So even though they're kind of a normal character that you could probably stumble upon, at least you could know where they'll be. Like my friend took her little boy a few years ago, and his all-time favorite 100% was Sully. Like they had to meet Sully, so they went to information and they could know when he was going to be on that main Hollywood Boulevard in California Adventure. So it's good, just because that was like, the most important thing to get done on that trip.
Yes.
At least they could know and then breathe easy for the rest of the trip.
True.
Anyway.
One of my tips for meeting a lot of characters and being able to have good interactions with them is to do the character meals. I'm a big fan of those, especially if you have kids, because we were able to just knock out a lot of characters in a short amount of time, but the kids got great interactions with them. So
I was
going to ask you. I was going to ask you, Heather, if you do character meals.
Oh yeah, I love doing character meals, and it's usually more for the characters and the food, because they usually will have not always, but they'll have like different outfits for at different character meals. So, you can also do that if you might see Mickey, but then you can see Mickey in all different kinds of outfits if you do several different character meals. And that's my thing. Other than just meeting different characters, I like meeting them in different outfits also.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and usually it depends how crowded it is. So if you go like when it's early or a little bit like towards the end of that meal, it won't be as crowded and you'll get more of an interaction.
I agree.
Yeah.
Both of our character meals that we did, did we do 2 or 3? I think we did 2. And both of them, our reservations were for at the end of right near the end, when they stop serving breakfast. And it worked out really well for us because after, like we did the Disney Junior one, and after we were on our way out, there was a Christmas tree there, and June stopped and had a whole big thing with my daughter there near the Christmas tree because my daughter had on a sequin shirt, and she and Handy Manny both were making, your shirt sparkles like the tree. They're doing all these gestures, and my husband couldn't figure out what they were saying. And I was like, what? Don't you speak June and Handy Manny? They're telling you that her shirt is sparkling like the tree. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And sometimes there's characters that you can't meet anywhere else that you can only meet at the character meals. Like, you can't find Piglet anywhere else other than at the Crystal Palace. Like, he's gone from the parks now.
Wow.
So,
yeah. It was my favorite thing about Crystal Palace because I love Piglet, and that's the only, and I luckily got to meet him there. So,
yeah,
that was like my favorite thing ever.
And when, I did a couple character meals when I was at Disneyland also, and the one at the Plaza Inn, Minnie's Breakfast, that, I would recommend that if you're a character fan to anyone. There was like 14 characters we met. And it just didn't stop. And they were so interactive. They were like, I don't think we even went to get food until like over a half hour after we sat down. And there was a great cast member that, there was characters that I wanted to meet, and they made sure like they brought them right over to the table, like right away. And it was fantastic. And there were characters that weren't out in the parks either. So
did you say 14 characters you met?
There were 14 characters. It was,
Holy
yeah,
cow.
It was great. And see, the thing, as a Disney World person is like the character meals at Disney World, they're themed, like, it's the Pooh characters here. It's, like the Fab Five, or it's the princesses. But like at Disneyland, it's just, they're like all random, that's still a lot at Disneyland too, which was really cool, was how you would just randomly see characters walking around, like you saw, the Mad Hatter and Peter Pan were drinking tea, and like nobody's like mobbing them. And if that was at Disney World, it would be insane. So it was that's the difference. But yeah, it was crazy at the breakfast. I was talking about Rabbit, how that's like one of the most rare characters I think I met, and he was there, and I had for the longest time trying to find Max, and it was just I don't know what the thing was, but I would like always just miss him. I'd be at the park, and then I would leave, and then I'd find out he was at the park, and it was this whole thing. So I'd heard at Disneyland he was more common, and I still hadn't seen him. And then we went to the breakfast, and we had actually the first seating, and I saw he came out. I was like, oh, it's Max. I want to meet him. And that was the cast member that made sure it brought him over to the table. And he was fantastic. He went and he signed this autograph to my #1 fan because he saw my button. I had birthday button. So he saw my name and he read the whole thing and he was pulling me over. It was like this whole thing. And then I had this, I hadn't met Brer Fox, and I saw him come out. And then he went back in. So I asked the same cast member, is he coming out? And she said, well, it's not going to be for another, I don't know, it was 15 minutes, whatever it was. And I said, oh, because I wanted to meet him. She said, okay, well, bring him right over. Because we had already been done eating, but, we weren't leaving now. So, we waited, and as soon as he came out, she brought him right over. And it was like this whole thing. I can't even tell you all the interaction that he was busy doing. And so that was great. So later in the day, we were walking, and we were by Splash Mountain, and Brer Bear and Bear Fox were just watching like the the logs going down and waving to the people. And again, that's only a Disneyland thing. So that was cool just watching that. And then people were just standing there watching, and then they were like pointing to move down so because they were going to meet somewhere else. So we went and we got in the line. And when I get up there, all of a sudden Bear Fox is like doing this whole thing, and no one could figure out what he was trying to say. And he kept pointing at me. It was this whole thing. There were people online who were trying to, like you were saying about your husband, had no idea. And I had no clue what he was talking about. And then all of a sudden he pulls out, I keep the map like in the back of my bag. And he pulled out the map and opened it and pointed to where the breakfast was. And I said, "You're the same one I met at breakfast?" And he was like, "Yeah." And everyone was like,
"Oh my
what?"
gosh.
And I couldn't get over it. And first of all, that he remembered, and that it was the same, friend. And I mean, and I can't tell you how long this went on. If I was in line, I would have been so angry.
Yeah.
Because this went on forever. But that he wouldn't stop. He could have just dropped it after, a couple seconds. Okay, she doesn't get it. But it was probably one of the most interesting character interactions I had, because it was from the early morning to now. This is like 3:00, and it was just such a Disney moment,
magic.
Yeah, so that was, and the other funny thing was, then that was like the one part of the park we got kind of lost because Frontierland, and they didn't connect like they do at Disney World. So then we got turned around and we were walking back, and I heard somebody pointing to the characters. They said, "Oh, did you meet them?" And they said, "No, because the line, they left already." And I was thinking, that's probably our fault. They went so long.
Shoot. That's really funny.
That is
But
so
you're
funny.
like hiding your face, walking past.
Oh gosh.
Whoops.
Okay, so I have a question, Heather. So how do you, maybe this doesn't happen in Disney World as much, but at Disneyland for sure, there are certain characters that, like, I'm thinking of Alice and the Mad Hatter and sometimes the White Rabbit, who kind of roam and they don't really do like stop and meet. Is there still a way to get an autograph or get a good picture? Like, what do you recommend as far as like getting those pictures? Because we really struggled. Scarlett met Alice for the first time, but she didn't have a line. She was just kind of roaming.
Yeah.
And we never got the picture. Like, kids kept like jumping in front of her, and we could not meet her. Like, she couldn't even like say hi to Alice at first.
Yeah. Well, as a character hunter, that does drive me crazy. Like, they don't really do that much at Disney World. They, for the Star Wars weekend, most of them have actual places where you meet, but then there are several that roam in the area. So it's the same type of thing. So you just, the only thing I can say, you just have to be persistent and just like stand there. There was one, Aurra Sing from Star Wars, and
I was just looking at that picture on your website.
Yeah. So she, like, I can't tell you how long. It wasn't until the third day, because it's, the whole weekend, and I didn't expect it to take that long. But we finally, the third day, I was thinking, well, I still need to catch a couple of these characters. And I just kept, like, following her around. And finally, she just stopped in one spot. And so I was able to get the picture. But she wouldn't even sign my book. And then she started signing it for other people. But the thing with the Star Wars weekend, I mean, they're really into their characters. So,
well, she's terrifying.
I understand that. Yeah, so they're kind of, freaky to be around, some of them. So, but
looking at your picture from when you met her, I'll put the link in the show notes. She's terrifying looking. Like,
she is. And so imagine kind of trying to stalk her, trying to just be like, I just want a picture.
Oh,
and but so finally she stopped but wouldn't sign, and I wasn't gonna still keep chasing after her. But a couple of the other ones, it was the same type of thing. And sometimes I would say things like, I know you're a spy, but can I get the picture? And so I did that with another character. And but at Disneyland, I had that a couple of times, that Jingle Jangle Jamboree thing they had and that was kind of a nightmare for a couple of them. When Mickey came out, and then he gets, mobbed. And first there was a line. So we were second in line. And then all of a sudden he just starts walking all around. And so we start walking around this line. And then, of course, all these other people, then he starts with them. And it was a whole, but the only thing I can say is just to be persistent. I know it's hard, when you're a little kid, it's probably harder, but that was really the only thing. We just kept walking around, and finally we were able to get that picture. But that was the thing. I remember when we talked about with Gaston, how it was the same thing. He didn't have a line, and they kept yelling, there's no line. And it was that same type of thing. It was kind of a nightmare because you didn't want to like push your way in front of a kid. You didn't want to push your way in front of somebody else. And I was trying to say, well, I think they were here before me. And but then he's only, and it's only out for a short amount of time. Yeah. And so then the pictures weren't great because what I always like to do is to take a picture of them by themselves, and then I get the picture. But you can't do it with something like that. But then when I was just there in February, they must have changed it because now there was a line.
Oh, really?
And it was one of the longest lines we stood in on this particular day. So, but yeah, they have a line for him now. So I don't know if there were complaints about it, but now there's a line.
So when you go up to characters, do you always get their picture by themselves first?
How
does it work?
Sometimes, I don't do the same thing, especially if it's like the character I met like a whole bunch of times that I might not, but I usually go up and I'll say, can I take a picture of you by yourselves? Because, sometimes they don't realize it, and sometimes like someone else tries to like jump in that's behind you, and, the whole type of thing. But usually they're fine with it, and they'll usually give you a pose that's like for their character, which is kind of why I like to do that. And, then I'll go up and hopefully there'll be some interaction, and I could get some pictures of that, and then just, take the picture. It just depends on who you're with and how the PhotoPass one are, because sometimes, this past trip I had one where we had like this great interaction with Rapunzel. We were there forever, and the PhotoPass guy didn't take anything. All he took was like the one at the end. Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, we had this great interaction with Donald, and the guy took like 10 pictures. So it was fantastic. So if you're counting on the PhotoPass, I don't know if you say, I remember on your PhotoPass show, you said, if you ask them to take a lot of pictures, I don't know if that would help, but if you want to, you can always say, I hope we're going to have a lot of interaction. Can you take it? Because I noticed that a lot this past trip, that they were either really good or they were really bad, the photographers. So
one time, when we met Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope, I looked over at the PhotoPass photographer, and he was just standing there watching, laughing, enjoying the interaction that we were having.
Yeah.
And so I looked at him and I made the, camera gesture and like, take pictures, please. And so he put his camera up and started taking pictures.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's my job.
You're working, remember this?
Yeah.
You're working.
Yeah, I think I might have to do that next time, because I was said that about the great Snow White we had, and the guy took a ton on my camera. So I was pretty happy about that, because you never know. You have these great interactions, and then one of my tips that I didn't follow this trip, which I really wish I did, is as soon as like you're done with the character, is like take notes on your phone or something, so you remember what that interaction was about, what you were talking about, and then when you go to scrap it, you'll remember, because we had so many great interactions, and I don't remember most of the conversations. I just remember that it was good. Yeah. So, I want to go back and try to remember it, but it's tough. But
that's a great idea.
Do you guys ever do video of your character interactions?
I've started doing that more.
I've never done that. I wish I did. I feel like I should get someone to just follow around and start filming them, or do something on my phone, so I start doing the audio or something. I don't know, because for some reason now I'm not remembering everything that was being said.
Yeah, you could easily like set your little voice memo thing to go and then put it in your pocket or something and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Heather, would your mom video or something? Like,
I mean, she would if I asked. Usually she'll take pictures, If usually what happens is like I'll go up first, and then hopefully there'll be interaction or whatever, and get my picture, and then she'll get in the picture, because she doesn't need to get single most of the time, even though I ask her. But so that's usually how that works. So she'll get some pictures, and hopefully the PhotoPass one will get pictures, but I don't know if I can get pictures and the video. I'm kind of more of a picture person than I am really a video, other than hoping that I would, have that interaction, that I would remember it. But
Yeah, I've just noticed as we've, especially since we've had Scarlett, like how much we really enjoy video. So we've been trying to make an effort to video those interactions more, but it is hard. Like I've talked about on past shows, like you get up there and like one person's videoing, one person's taking pictures, then you got your photo pass, and it's like this big paparazzi. Like,
and
you
you're
know,
trying to
coordinating. It gets a little bit crazy, but I will say I need to focus on trying to do video more because I do really love that video. It's so fun to see the interaction. But pictures are awesome too. I mean, obviously I take way more pictures than I do video, but I just wondered if you guys had any character video tips because we're trying to be better at it. So
yeah, I'm too much of a novice myself, learning as I go on character video, but I am trying to be better just because it is sometimes, especially when you're up there, it's because I feel a little bit like I'm on stage myself, that it's sometimes can be all a blur, you know?
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to say it, Steph, because that's how I feel too. When you're waiting in line, it's like you're watching the show. Yeah. And then when it's your turn, you really do have to kind of step up onto stage, which is probably what a lot of times can scare kids, that it's just you're on the spot. You have to talk to this character. And some characters are great about putting you at ease and like making the interaction happen and it feels natural. But sometimes it does feel a little, makes me nervous as an adult.
Yeah. That's one of the things when you're talking about, if you're adult or kids. When I first started doing this and, I thought I was a little apprehensive, like, I'm an adult, they're going to think it's strange, and right away the characters didn't treat me any different than like they would treat a kid. And so, if I gotten the character who probably thought like, oh, this is a little weird, then maybe I never would have gotten into this, but every one of them were fantastic. So that's another thing. I think sometimes people might be a little nervous thinking, oh, I'm an adult and I don't really can I meet the characters? I would say, just go for it and it's going to be fine. There's so many of these character events I've gone to. It's the adults that are more excited to meet like these characters and the kids. A couple years ago, I lucked into going to Pixar weekend. And so they had all these characters that are usually only in the parade. And they never meet, and so they were out, and it was really fun. And there was like this whole line, and the woman behind me had kids, but she said like, no, they're just my excuse so I can meet the character.
So totally, don't you think most character hunters are just adults? Like, oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've met, and that's like the a thing, right? As it's gone on, like I've met more, and so now I'm fine. But that first time I remember being in line for like the princesses, I'm like, it's so weird. I'm like a grown adult and I'm meeting the princess, and it was fine. But yeah, most character hunters are adults, and it's fine.
So how do you find out about all these like character events and
like
weekends?
The Pixar weekend, I'm like, what? I know that.
The only reason I know what that is because of Heather.
Yeah.
So how do you find out about all this?
Well, that one was complete luck. I went, it was a couple years ago, and I was going for the Flower and Garden Festival in May, and I made my arrangements, and then it came out that it was the anniversary of Pixar, and so they were going to have the Pixar weekend, and the last full day of my trip was the first day of this event. So I really looked into that, and that was great. I think it was like 15 characters I met that day, and I always have like character regrets, especially from when I first started going, and I didn't realize that characters the same ones aren't always going to be there. So, it's like another tip. If you see a character there and you haven't like seen their movie yet or something, doesn't matter, go meet them, because it was Remy and Emile, and I hadn't seen Ratatouille yet, and so I was like, oh, I'll see them next time. And then I was there just a couple months later, and they were already gone. So that was always a thing that I was like, oh, I couldn't meet them. And so then at this Pixar weekend, they were out, so that was the one that I was really excited, like I had to meet them. But they also had like Mr. Potato Head out. They had from Monsters Inc., which ended up being my favorite, was Boo, and it was like this. It was this whole thing, like that's all anybody wanted to meet was Boo. And one of the things when you're a character hunter that gets annoying is when they switch out. So like you're in line for one character and then they bring a different character out, and so that's like a whole thing. So everybody was in line for I forget who was out at the time, and everyone had met them and they were waiting. They said, we're all waiting for Boo. And it was so bad that they actually pulled the character and they brought her out early, which like I've never seen before because the line was like crazy and everyone was like, no, we already met them. We're here for Boo. So it was, so they had all those rare characters out and I, just lucked into that with the Long Lost Friends week they had in January. Because this limited time magic thing isn't really any good, but that's pretty much the only good one that they've had. And they said they were going to have one, and I thought, well, when it comes out, I'm probably going to have to go. And it leaked out on a couple of character sites that I follow about a week early, so that's why I was able to make arrangements and not do it like the day before, the event. But so sometimes those things, like I give the blog before, and you can find that kind of stuff out. But sometimes
what are these character sites you follow? What are these character quote? I'm using my air quotes. You can't see me. Character sites you follow.
I'll have to send the links for the show notes because I'm unprepared with the links and stuff.
Okay.
But the one I already mentioned, Kenny the Pirate, is a really good one and puts up rumors and stuff. There's another one that I follow, Unofficial Character Hunter, I think. This is really bad, but I also follow them on Twitter, and so she's always posting like pictures if you happen to see like the random characters coming out, like at Epcot. And so she'll like tweet them out. So if you're like in the park, sometimes you can say, and go over. So I'll have to get you her information because I can't think of it right now. But so those, and sometimes, I'm like really active on Twitter. So sometimes you will just see even just people saying, oh, I saw this one out here. And it's actually never worked for me that I've been in a park and I've been able to go and find them. But like when we were just there, we had heard that the Tweedles were meeting over by the teacups, and they haven't been out in a while. So that's what we actually went in to get in their line, and we just missed them because they moved the line, and when they moved the line, people jumped in front of us, and then of course they were the last ones to meet them, so we just missed them, which is a whole nother story. If you're going to be a character hunter, follow proper etiquette, don't line jump and stuff like that. But that was something that I would have been able to meet because I saw somebody post about it on Twitter. So, but yeah, there's I'll give you the links for the show notes. So there's a couple that you can follow, and
cool.
Like I said, with the parties, if you want to meet characters, the Halloween party, I think, is the best place because they have characters that are out in costumes that you normally wouldn't see, like the Pooh characters, and they're all in, like Halloween costumes, and
like their trick or treat.
Yeah,
so cute.
And they'll have, like I said, the villains. They had that's when the first time Gaston met because he was there. They have Jack Sparrow is there. So and
Dr. Facilier.
Yeah, so you.
Cool.
A lot. And the only thing for me is since I go all the time that they haven't been changing it up. So like I wish that they would add new characters, so I can meet new ones. But if you haven't been, there's a ton of characters. You have to really plan that thing out to be able to meet the characters, see the parade, shows.
You do.
And, yeah. And I've
been to the Halloween party with Heather, and she is a master. I am not kidding, a master at like doing that party and seeing the characters she wants to meet, seeing the shows she wants to see. Like it's incredible to follow Heather around at those parties. Yeah, she even helped me meet Bullseye at a dance party.
How funny.
Yeah, those dance parties are like with the roaming characters.
Yeah. Tough. The dance parties, they just want to dance. They do not want to stop and take pictures with you.
Yeah, I don't have much luck with that either. But that was like with that one, and I'm like, I am making sure we get our picture. And it was the same thing with Tanya. She was like, I want to meet Bullseye. I'm like, I am not moving until we get this picture of you. So you just have to be persistent and bring somebody who will just stand there with the camera and like for a second and take a picture.
I have a really goofy look on my face because we were like, finally, I have a picture with him. But it was funny. Good memories.
It's funny.
Oh gosh,
that's funny. So I don't remember what I was going to say. I was going to also agree with you on the parties. That's a great way to meet a lot of characters and some rare ones as well.
Like I know Britt, when I went to the Long Lost Characters thing and Scrooge was there, and I know how she was so excited about that. And he's usually out at the Christmas party, so he's rare other than that. So he used to be out in the day during the holidays, but that a couple years ago they got rid of him. So
yeah, if we ever next time we go to Disney World, whenever that will be someday, we have to go at Christmas and we have to go to the Christmas party so that Josh can meet Scrooge. It's like his all-time favorite character of all is Scrooge McDuck. And so when he saw, I showed him the picture that you got with him on the Long Lost Characters weekend or whatever. And I almost didn't show it to him because I knew how jealous it would make him, but I did show it to him. And he was just so like, oh, I can't stand it. I just want to meet him so bad. So that's awesome that you got to meet him. And I know that he is at the Christmas party. So we'll have to go do that.
For sure.
Speaking of that, I always want to know Heather, who do you still have any characters on your list that you really want to meet that you haven't met?
Too. Yeah.
Like who haven't you met?
Well, there's still a ton that I haven't met. One time I was at this like party event thing, and there was someone at the table who said they were a character hunter, and we were talking, and she's like, "But I've met pretty much all of them," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're not a character hunter because that's not possible. There's so many characters.
You're not a real character hunter."
But it's tough because like I'd had, like I said about with Max, it wasn't even that he was my favorite character. It was just that he eluded me, so it was annoying, and so I'm like, I need to meet him. So I met him when I did the Princess 5K. The character I really wanted to meet was Shang from Mulan. And see, that's another thing. We talk about how you meet characters. I'm starting to do 5Ks just to meet the characters, which is like when you go over and beyond. But it was great in September. Before even the 5K, they had Mickey in a scarecrow outfit, which was really cute. And I was actually the first one that met him because when I went up there, no one was there yet. And then he came out, so I had actually a lot of interaction with him that you normally wouldn't. And they had a couple other characters out, but then they also had the Gravediggers from the parade, from the Boots parade, which is like my absolute favorite thing. So that was, I had seen that in past 5Ks from that time, so that's who I really wanted to meet, but I didn't want to get my hopes up. So when I did, that was fantastic. So for the Princess 5K, it was that same thing that I read the recaps and I saw all these pictures, but this time I did get my hopes up to meet him. So of course he wasn't out this year. The characters that were out, it was really disappointing. They had like one princess. I mean, they had I met Mulan, Belle, Snow White. Anyone else? I don't know. And but they're out with somebody. They're out with like their prince. Like usually Shang was out with Mushu and Mulan, and this time it was just Mulan. Sometimes Mushu came out. I saw pictures later, but everybody was saying that it was disappointing. So if you're doing that, like, don't get your hopes up either. So that. But so he is on the list now of a character that I want to meet. I mean, lots of like villains that normally don't come out, or like Hercules characters, they don't come out. So like that's kind of like on the list I would love to meet. And like Agent P, he was out like one day for a special event, so I'd like to meet him. But pretty much, there was like when he had like a DVD. So that's another time. Sometimes when they have these special events, we'll have the characters out. I notice not as much now, but it used to be when I first started going that when they would put like the DVD out, then they would have the character out. So I remember there was the Pinocchio thing, so then they had Pinocchio and like a special thing, in the Magic Kingdom. So sometimes you can catch that kind of thing, but I don't know. I just like meeting characters that I had never met before. Like I never would have thought I would meet the Robin Hood characters, and then I ended up, with the Long Lost Characters thing. That's who was out, the Three Little Pigs. So they were never like on my list, but then when I saw that that's who was going to be out, I was all excited, and I said, okay, I have to go meet them. So
I think the Robin Hood characters need to be out all the time because
they used to be,
they used to be because I've met them a couple times years ago,
back in the day. Yeah. I've never met them, but I think I might die if I saw her with these characters.
That was the line that was always the longest too. Like I think we tried it a couple times and we would keep missing it, and then finally we got them. And then I know for the rest of the week and stuff too, it was that was always the line that was like the craziest, because and again it's the same thing, that they had all these rare characters out, or some of them were rare, some of them were less rare, but still the point of it was that everybody was so excited about it. The people there, the cast members, even when I walked into the park and the photo pass guy was like, oh, they have, the Marvelous Friends Week, all the characters. I'm like, yeah, I flew here for this. I know.
That's why I'm here.
But, you hope that like every time they have something like this, it's popular. And when I went to the Pixar Weekend thing, I even went up to anybody who looked official to tell them how much I liked it, because, you hope that means they'll have more of these because they are popular. But I don't know, how they work, that they seem like they're going away from that, but I hope that they have more of those rare characters, or even just randomly coming out, because it's fun.
Now I'm looking at your site, and when did you meet Pocahontas with John Smith? Because that's pretty awesome.
That was at the Pirate Princess party they used to have, that they unfortunately no longer have. I know that was before I knew really anything. That was like my second trip, and it wasn't like a real trip. It was during our spring training thing, so it was just like a couple days, and so I didn't really know how the parties really worked, and so, but that was one of the ones that I had met, but there were a couple that I had missed, and I said, okay, well, the next year I'm going to be prepared, and then of course it was gone. They got rid of it, but that was a really fun party. But
that picture is so awesome, like the background that they have, and I can't believe that meeting John Smith seems so random, like. I didn't even know you could possibly meet him. Like, that's so cool.
5K, with the Princess 5K, he's usually there with Pocahontas and Miko, but they didn't have anyone in America. Cool. But that's, if you see, 5Ks, I don't think are that bad. So if you want to do that,
I could train for a 5K, and I would for Disney. That's it.
Yeah,
I think the only reason I'd train for a 5K is to meet characters and do it for Disney.
And because I walk it, and so it's fine. And it's, the first one I did wasn't in a park, which was disappointing, but it was fun character-wise. This one, it went backstage of Epcot, and then you came, through Mexico, and you went around the World Showcase, and you came back out, and so that was fun. So you got to take a lot of pictures of like stuff backstage and then on stage, and I still stop when I did the first one. I said, okay, I'm only going to stop if I hadn't met the character before, or if they're in like a different outfit or something. But for this one, I'm glad I stopped for pretty much all of them, because then I wouldn't have stopped for any of them, because I've met all of them. So it was, because it was disappointing. But so, and when I see pictures from like the half marathons and stuff, they have even more rare characters. Like one of the character I do want to meet is Louis from Princess and the Frog.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he's always out there, and every time I see that picture, I'm like, I do a half marathon to meet some of these characters. But my luck, like I would go and I'd do the half marathon, and then they wouldn't have any of these characters out. Like you're saying about with John Smith, they usually have all the princesses and like those male characters, Tarzan and Aladdin and all of them like in one spot. So yeah, but my luck, they'd be like, oh yeah, this year we have hardly any characters because you train for a half marathon.
Because people are taking too long, so we're not going to have as many, right?
Right.
I have a question, because I saw Carl, that you met Carl from Up. When did you do that? It was 2009, but like, was it an event?
No, that was at Hollywood Studios, in the animation building. They usually have whatever the latest movie is, and they'll have the characters out there. Like right now, it's still Wreck-It Ralph, and I think before that it had been like Pooh, and so they changed them out, and so that happened to be when Up was out, and that was one of the longest lines that I waited in, because it didn't look long, but their interaction was so much that like we waited forever. But again, I'm glad I did it, because then gone after that, and I was also really lucky because it was all three of them together.
Yeah. I've never seen Carl. I didn't know you could meet him.
Oh, yeah. I met Carl. I met at the same spot, Heather, in 2009 when Up was first coming out. And we were waiting in line to meet all three of them. And then right when we got up, Doug and Russell went away. And so we just have a picture with just Carl, which is still fine, because you can still meet. You can meet Doug. You can meet Doug and Russell at California Adventure. So, it was okay as long as we got to meet Carl.
Yeah, but so that is a thing too. That's what I say. Like, if you see the character and like you sort of think you want to meet them, like meet them, because you never know when they're gonna pull them. So
You never know if that movie is gonna become like your favorite movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Wreck-It Ralph is I'm like, he's not gonna be there by the time
You go again.
we go,
Well,
because we haven't met
not-
him yet, and so
He's not at Disneyland anymore. I want you to feel bad, but
see?
they already, yeah.
I
That
get
was
to meet
it. I mean,
him.
he's still at Hollywood Studios, but at Disneyland, I remember recently hearing that they pulled him. I don't know why, but
not very long that he was out, and his
No.
DVD just came out. That doesn't make it.
yeah, no, I don't know sometimes how they decide, like, how long they have characters out. Like, not that I'm saying I wanted them to take any characters out, but like The Incredibles and Monsters Inc., like all of them, they always have them out there. But then some of the other ones, like Up and right. I mean, they're popular too. Like, why can't they fit them? So
Well, yeah, I would definitely say if there's a special character out like that because of their movie, definitely meet them, because you won't be able to meet them again probably later. Like I have regret, character regret, like you said, that when Enchanted came out, Giselle used to be out, and I didn't get to meet her. Like we just always kind of missed it. And then of course Giselle's not out anymore. Like that's
they had
totally
Giselle out there. I'm jealous.
Well, I remember. I don't remember where you could meet her exactly, but I remember seeing her in her big poofy white dress, and I actually have a picture of her in like a pre-parade. But I think you could meet her somewhere too. Anyway, we just didn't ever get around to it, and I regret that because I love Giselle so much. Like she's one of my favorite Disney characters, and now no way is she going to be around.
Yeah, because I saw her in a pre-parade also when they put it out for like on a DVD or something. But yeah, I always wish I could meet her too. I've heard it's because of like copyright thing with like her face and Amy Adams or some kind of thing. That's kind of what goes around the character.
She's a real character.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's 100% true or not, but that's why they said she couldn't meet. So that's why I'm kind of jealous that actually people did get to meet her out there. But yeah, because I love that movie.
Maybe I could be mistaken, but I remember seeing her somewhere. Anyway, that's one of my regrets. And then this is a non-regret. We took pictures with Meet the Robinsons characters when that movie was coming out.
Yeah.
And I know that wasn't like the hugest hit, and at the time we had seen it, or we hadn't seen, I don't know. Anyway, we took pictures with them, and now it's like one of our very favorite movies. And so I'm so glad we have those pictures, because they're like, Wilbur Robinson is not going to be walking around.
Yeah.
So, which he should be. I think he should totally still meet in like Tomorrowland. How fun would that be?
Yeah, totally.
And like and I have a picture with Bowler Hat Guy from a Halloween party. He was walking around. He was a roaming character, and he just happened to come up to me and did this really goofy pose with me, and it was so fun. I love Bowler Hat Guy. So
That's cool.
yeah, I love those kind of characters that are just sort of in the moment. They're the new characters, but that probably you could probably guess they're not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, whatever the newest release movie is.
yeah, can you still meet Lotso out at Disney World?
No, he was one of the ones in that area. Also, you can meet him at the Halloween party. He's with the villain, one of the villains. So, yeah, if you want to meet him there. But he used to be in that same spot, but then he was gone. And
see, that's one of those ones, and he's such a good character to meet because he's so big and snuggly.
He's evil.
I know he is evil. I actually didn't meet him because he's evil.
I
have like an angry feeling about Lotso.
I know.
He's so wicked.
Yeah. It's funny.
But anyway.
One of my characters that I'm dying to meet is Jiminy Cricket.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I know he's sort of common at Disney World, I guess.
He's not anymore. He used to be at Animal Kingdom, but then I forget how many months ago they got rid of him. So he's not. I know, it's sad.
He's like, you can't meet him. I mean, I've never seen people meet him at ever.
He should come to the Long Lost Friends thing because he was out.
I know I should have. I wanted to come to that, but I didn't know about it in enough time. I got a lot of planning that I have to do to get down there. It's not that close for me.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, this was probably one of the closest, like, last minute plans, and I had no plans. Do you know how crazy that was? I had nothing. I knew I wanted to meet the characters, and then I was able to knock that all out on the first day.
Oh, no.
No plans, but it was fun. Yeah, I had fun. But you can. That's another note. Even if you're like a crazy planner, like I am, or I used to be, I'm not as much because the more I go, I don't have to plan as much. But that I had no plans. And this past trip, I sort of didn't have as many plans, and I still had a blast. So you can still have fun, even if your crazy brain thinks you can't.
Yeah, but if you're a first timer, don't go without a plan.
No, you're not if you're a first timer. But if you're crazy like us, like a lot, then
you don't need as much of a plan.
One of the characters I really, really want to meet is Daisy, which I know it sort of seems like, because I can see on your list you've met Daisy like a bazillion times, but she's not out at Disneyland hardly at all. She is out sometimes, like it's rare, but I can never find her.
Yeah.
She's like my Max for you. You know, it's like she's not my favorite in the whole, but I love her.
Yeah.
I can't find her.
I mean, that's the strange thing too with like Disneyland and Disney World, how like different characters are like more rare in one place. And like Daisy, you can find her, in probably every park, but at Disneyland, it was the same thing. The only place we met her was at the Surf's Up breakfast. So if you want to like definitely meet her, like that's
I got to go to the Surf's Up breakfast.
But otherwise she's just like a random thing. Cause I've seen pictures, but it's like a random thing where she comes out.
Right. Same with Pocahontas. I just want to meet her so bad, and she's just never really out at Disneyland. I've seen people meet her there. It's just she's rare. I always have every time we walk through Frontierland, my eyes are peeled for Pocahontas. Someday I'll meet her, and I know
I've never seen her out there. Never.
I've seen other people's pictures of her there. I've never seen her myself, but I have seen people's pictures with her, like just at the Princess Fantasy Fair too. But we've never been that lucky. So, curse you, Pocahontas! I just want to meet her so bad.
Well, then you still have to come back to Disney World because
I know. Well, and I went to Disney World twice, and everyone's like, "Oh, you'll be able to meet her." And so we tried, and I couldn't meet her. I tried.
Yeah. She eludes you.
She does elude me.
Especially with that Animal Kingdom, they keep changing things up there and getting rid of more and more characters. So who knows? Maybe by the next time you come back, they'll have gotten rid of her again.
Right.
I hope not. But
the next time I come back, it'll be
like everything there.
Well, yeah. Next time I come back, it'll be that new land. What's it called? The new land.
Avatar.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Avatar. Yeah. No.
Whatever.
I wonder if there'll be Avatar like characters. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, they are moving. I don't know if there's going to start stuff there, but they are moving like the characters that are like in the Camp Mini Mickey.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna be moving them inside soon. I don't know when exactly. It's supposed to be sometime in the spring, and the other ones are still going to be like a Camp Mini Mickey, but then I think they're going to move somewhere else. It's like this whole confusing thing. And the thing was, when I was talking about with the random characters, the place usually that you can find that in Animal Kingdom is like around the Camp Mini Mickey. Like I met like Brer Bear there once, and I forget a couple other ones that sometimes they have Governor Ratcliffe from Pocahontas out. I've never seen them, but I've seen like tons of people finding them there. I'm not that lucky, but so that's like that area usually. So if they get rid of that, then they used to have, before you even walked in, they would have characters meeting, and they were like random, but they got rid of that a while ago. So pretty soon, I guess Animal Kingdom won't have anywhere where you can meet random characters. I don't know, but they get rid of so many characters there. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that you've met 173 characters, and there's still a ton that you haven't met. Like, if you would ask me how many characters are there to meet, I would never guess that high. I would never guess.
There's 30 or 40 characters at Disney.
I would never guess upwards of 200. Like, I would never guess that.
Unique characters.
Yeah. I mean,
and all the costumes and different things too. So crazy.
And that's when you think about like all the movies they had. I mean, they obviously don't have like every character available, but I mean, there's every movie they've had somebody from, and it's you think about. I mean, however many I have, and then like I'll see other character people, and then they have so much more, and there's certain characters I haven't met. So it's
how many? Who have you seen that has more than you? Like how many?
I know I've seen people with over 200 or 300. I don't know. I mean, sometimes the other thing is too, if you go to like other countries in like in Paris and Tokyo, and like I see pictures and stuff from there all the time, and they have like a lot of characters that never would come out here. Like, they have like, dog from A Little Mermaid, and all these like characters that you never see here.
I was actually just going to ask you if you had plans to take your character hunting overseas.
I would love to.
It's crazy over there. Like, I see pictures of like just the costumes that Minnie wears in Tokyo, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. They have way cuter costumes there than we do.
We do. It's not fair.
It's not. Oh gosh.
Fun. Okay, let's move into some picks with pixie dust.
Okay.
Do you have one for us, Britt?
Yep, and mine has nothing to do with characters.
Mine doesn't really either. Well, it sort of does.
Okay, so I'm switching gears a little bit, but a tip that I always give people that if they're going to Disney with a toddler, which I know we're not supposed to always talk about kid stuff, but some of us have kids, okay?
Some of us do, and some of our listeners do too. Lots of our listeners do.
Okay, so we take these things called table toppers. I don't know if you guys have heard of them or not, but they're just plastic sheets that have sticky like tabs around the edges that you take out of the pack. You peel the sticky things off, and then you put it down on the restaurant table, and it just sticks down, and then you can put all your toddler's food on top of it. And then when you're done, you just gather it up and throw it away. And they have Disney ones, really cute Disney ones. There's Minnie Mouse ones, there's Mickey Mouse. The ones we have were princesses, and then we also got
how fun. I can't
remember what the other ones were, but anyway, we take those to Disney with us for Scarlett because the last few times we were there, it was like she was at that age where you just put out all their food and they just kind of pick it up off the table. But that's gross to do at a restaurant. And she would just knock a plate on the floor. Like you couldn't really use a plate. So these were like essential for us on our last few trips. Now that she's getting a little bit bigger, we could get away with plates. But anyway, and it was just so nice because you knew that was a clean surface for them to eat on. And plus they're cute, and she would always like to look at them. We would count things on it. Like the princess ones have little counting things, like count the crowns, count the the glass slippers, count these. So they're kind of interactive for kids as well. We got ours at Walmart. I could buy a pack of 10 for about $3. So they're not expensive. And a pack of 10 actually lasts you quite a long, if you'd only do one per meal, that's several days. And then we also found some that they were clearancing out at Walmart that had stickers with it. Like it was a sticker pack that coordinated with the table topper, so that like before we ate, while we were waiting for food or something, you could hand her the stickers and she'd put them on the plastic. So those were interactive, and they were on clearance for like $1.50. I think there were only 6 in those packs though. Anyway, but like Walmart.com has a pack of 50 Winnie the Pooh ones for about $16. Well, about $15.28 is what it says. And you can send those like for free store pickup, so you can just order them and then go pick them up at the store, or you can have them shipped to your house. So nice. I'll put links for those in the show notes, but I always tell people if they're going to Disney with a toddler to get table toppers. And you don't obviously have to get the Disney ones. There's non-Disney ones out there. Tons of them. So
there's non-Disney stuff?
What? I know, right? But table topper isn't like a Disney, brand or anything. Right. It's just it's a company called Neat Solutions. And they're on Amazon and stuff too, but the cheapest spot I've found them is at Walmart.
Perfect.
So, and we use them on our day-to-day life too. They're always in my purse / diaper bag to take around with me, but
I remember going through that phase and having those because my youngest is 6, but we had those back then.
Yeah,
things changed so fast, but yeah, I loved them.
Yes. Yeah. And I just was at Chick-fil-A the other day, and they like give them to you for free there. Like they were sitting on top of the high chairs. Mm-hmm. I was like, it's made by the same brand and everything. They're like Chick-fil-A table toppers.
Somewhere does that too. If you go to, it's a sit-down restaurant, but they do that too, and they also have free toddler like meals that are awesome. Yeah,
cool.
Okay, so Heather, do you have a pick?
Well, I mentioned it earlier, but it's okay.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's Kenny the Pirate DisneyLands.com. And it's a character blog, and so it's, you know, lots of pictures and stuff. But then also he has like show schedules and has plans, if you like touring plans for characters, if you want to meet as many characters as you want for like different things. I've never done that, but that seems like something would be fun too. And then he has the schedules for every park with the characters. And we used at this last trip, it was like a last minute thing. We decided to dress up and go around and meet as many characters as we could. And that really helped to determine when we were going to meet certain characters. So I think that schedule is like a must if you're into character hunting. But yeah, that's a great blog. And like I said, on Facebook and Twitter, like you could ask him questions and stuff too. So
nice. I'm looking on there, and it looks like he also has people that send in like their character encounters, kind of when they met characters and stuff that he posts on.
Yeah, there's we were just talking about like in other countries, and I think there's something that he has like once a week, or someone from Paris or something, and it shows the pictures of characters, you know, that they've met there. So yeah, I think that's kind of a must place if you're a character hunter to look at.
How fun.
Yeah.
And vintage ones too. Look at that.
I know, I just saw that, the vintage Aristocat one.
Yes.
So cute.
Yeah. It is so funny to see pictures of the characters from, you know, a while ago, which is another reason why I'm like sad I didn't meet any of these characters when I was young. But yeah, when you see some of the characters like Pooh and, you know, Mickey and whatever, like they've evolved so much, you know, to how they look now.
They changed so much.
Yeah. For sure.
That's so fun.
What a fun sight.
So his mostly is for Disney World, right? That's where this is for.
Yeah, I think eventually he's supposed to have some stuff for like a schedule or something for Disneyland. Because I remember before I went to Disneyland, and you know, I didn't know that much, and I was like, "Are you going to have something?" And he said eventually, and I think I saw him mention something recently too that he was. So maybe eventually, but yeah, it's mostly Disney World, the schedules and everything.
Cool.
If you look under Ultimate Tours, there's something there for California Adventure, but it's from July of 2012.
Yeah, because
so
he's done a lot of that kind of stuff too. That like he's had like Ultimate Tours and stuff that he's done. So
yeah. Okay. Cool. I can't wait to hang out there.
What a fun
more.
sight. Yeah.
For sure. Okay, mine sort of has to do with characters a little bit, if you stretch it. It's an app called Newsies, and Newsies Photo Booth, and it's an official Disney app, and you can actually take a photo and then place yourself in with the Newsies guys from the musical.
Funny.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. And so, yeah, and then you can even upload them so that people from the newsy guys in the show can look at them and make comments on them and stuff like that. So.
That's cute. I really want to see that show too.
I know, me too.
I just was listening to Mousetalgia, and they were doing that whole big thing about Disney on Broadway, and they talked a lot about Newsies, and it made me really want to see it.
Yeah. I just love Newsies, so.
Me too. Who doesn't love Newsies? Come on.
I love Newsies. My son actually just finished watching that for his history class at school.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's a stretch, right?
Yeah.
So he loved it. He absolutely loved it. So
cool.
Yeah, he gets a little teased. He's in middle school. He's a Disney fan. You know, it might be, it makes him a target, but it's all good. So. Okay, let's go around and share with our listeners where they can find us one more time. Britt?
I am at BritishDesigns.com, and that's where you'll be able to find my blog, my shop for digital scrapbooking, and links to all my social media places. By the time this show comes out, we'll have just released over the past weekend our next installment of Project Mouse products, Krista, Celine, and I have. And they are autograph cards and character cards for Project Mouse, which is pocket-style Disney scrapbooking. So they're really cute.
They are.
Can't wait.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so, and their character stuff you said, yeah, right?
Yeah, It's all character stuff. It's our third bundle in the Project Mouse series, and it's big, huge. They're huge. Our pack's got a little out of control this round. Krista and I were kind of gulping at how many cards we put in, but there is a huge autograph card pack, a character card pack, and then like a word art, word bits pack. So
perfect.
And it's
all problem when she puts that out is that then how do I narrow down what I'm supposed to use it for?
I know, because there's so much, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Heather.
My site is heatherw.com/character, and we already talked about that, but it's, all the characters I've met and all the outfits and everything. And on Twitter and Instagram, I'm heatherw25. So I post a lot of Disney pictures.
Yay.
Yes, she does.
We love it. Hey, I'm Steph, and you can find me at capturingmagic.me, and you can also find me at thedailydigi.com. And let's see, we just released an iPhone update not too long ago, and I am going to be making a video, actually, of the iPhone app, because someone shared with me an app that you can use to record your iPhone screen. So I'm going to make a video of the app and show kind of the ins and outs and what it does, because it does a lot of stuff. And yeah, just a ton of stuff. It really does. So it notifies you when you're in the parks. It reminds you to take pictures when you're at those locations. You also can add notes to them, and it tells you who was in the photos, where you were, all of that kind of stuff. And then you can also export all of that information and email it to yourself so that you have it when you go to put all your memories together in whatever method you use, a photo book, a scrapbook, or whatever you want to do. So check that out. It should be up there by the time this posts for sure, because I'm actually hoping to get it up in the next few days. So by the time this show airs, for sure, go check it out at capturingmagic.me/app. Okay,
cool.
That's it. Thank you. And
sure, it was fun.
We will see you next time, where we will be capturing magic.